that, I mean, it should scare everybody. I mean, the fact that you're basically, with the initiative petition, you're opening up no excuse absentee, first thing, for 6 weeks. And you're creating voting centers for the first 100,000 and then every 50,000 thereafter. But not only are you creating that many, you're giving the petition gives the authority to the election authority to set up however many they want. Maybe in Jackson County they'll set up 50, and maybe they'll set them all up inside Kansas City. You know, where they can vote there. There's no control. It plainly says they can set up as many as they want. And then the second bad thing about the petition is it provides that you have that the election authority has to release a list of who's voted every day. And it doesn't say that you can take 3 days to release the list. You have to do it promptly. So everybody who's voted, their information is going out to whoever requested every day.
Well, when people who vote, the information goes out anyway, right? People who vote
After the election.
after the election.
Yes.
How about their absentee?
The absentee list is made available to candidates only who have to sign a statement that they won't use it for any type of business use or mailing list. So there is some limited, currently there is some limited use to what you can do even with the absentee list and who would have access to that list.
So how do you think other states got around these same issues? I mean, other states have that 6 weeks, other states have Sunday. Do you think they got around the?
You know, I don't know. I really haven't looked that closely at other states and how they're implementing that.
Well, it's been, I mean, Kansas has it, and it's been actually in the long term lower the cost of elections overall. So it ends up being just kind of part of the voting culture. They know when they can go vote whenever they want, and ends up working out very well, and lowering costs over time as opposed to a bill that just restricts to save money. So the Sunday, the particular objection, the reason you don't have Sunday in there is the cost, right?
That is just one of my objections, yeah.
Okay.
I just have a belief we should be voting on Sunday. That's a personal belief.
Well, and I would respect that. And with that said, many other states have done the same thing. They've had good elections, and it hasn't increased any trouble for them. Now, this is only for state and federal elections.
That's correct. It does not apply. Mine was not applied to local elections.
Again, cost, right?
Right, and that cost would be borne by our school districts and our cities. And I don't know how they would afford it because they pay the cost of those municipal elections.
Okay. So, just to take a step back and in my inquiry, the petition initiative is too broad, in your opinion. It costs too much, and so your thought was let's do legislation to limit that, but still provide a little bit of early voting.
Right, but not only does it cost too much, but I think that if you think about the whole broad picture of it, if you just open voting centers wherever and whenever you want, I just think that that's the problem. I think that they should be evenly distributed, and I think there should be a certain number of them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good check.
Yes, intercepted. Oh, sorry.
Couple of questions. You talked about no excuse absentee voting and having some concern about that. I guess my question is there a meaningful difference between that and having widespread early voting? I mean, you're basically allowing for, not even just no excuse absentee, you're allowing for no excuse non-absentee, right? I mean, is somebody who's going to be in the jurisdiction on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November is still eligible to early vote, right? Under both.
That's correct.
Your bill and the other proposal that's out there.
That's correct.
So it seems to me that sort of 6 and 1/2 dozen together. We're going to be opening it up to people to vote early for either 3 to 6 or some other period of time, weeks in advance of the election, regardless of whether they're going to be in town for election or not.
Keep in mind, sure, when you're doing absentee voting, though, it's not the same as early voting because you're actually gathering an application, you're putting a ballot in an envelope, and you're having to mail that ballot out, which comes back in an envelope sealed, which you can't open until at least 5 days before the election. So you're talking about potentially a huge amount of absentee ballots that are now sitting there to try to get finished in the last 5 days of the election, which could become a major problem for many of our jurisdictions, especially our large ones.
Well, but as it stands now, I mean, absentee ballots there's already a certain percentage that are turned in anyway. We hope and assume that people
Right, but they have to-
sign the affidavit correctly. But
Right, they have to have a reason.
Right,
If you open it up like the initiative petition does, then anybody out there can request a ballot. I mean, they don't even have to leave their home.
But if
They just send them and say, send me a ballot.
But if I have early voting available to me and no excuse absentee voting available to me, I'm sure there might be some people who don't vote absentee now who would vote absentee under that scenario, but it would seem to me that they would be more likely to just vote early and not get into that pool. I mean, I'll grant you that there might be some contrary exceptions, but I'm a little less concerned about a surge in absentee ballots. But that's a bill that's not even part of it. So let me get back to this one. Would you agree with me that part of the thinking here, or at least one of the implicit assumptions, is that if there's a period of open early voting, that will result in fewer people at the polls on election day. Fewer folks will wait until the first Tuesday after the first Monday. More people will vote early, so there will be shorter lines and presumably less expense incurred in administering elections on election day. Is that?
Yeah,
part of the
I mean,
thinking?
statistics have shown, or from what I've heard, that early voting does not increase voter turnout. So for everyone that you have vote early, that's going to be a less vote on election day.
Got it. And so presumably you will need a little bit less in the way of personnel on hand on election day, or would that not change?
You know, statutes currently set up how many election judges have to be at the polling place, and they each have to be at each party. So you're going to have the same number of people.
Got it. This would
At
affect
every
that.
polling place.
There would be no savings in that regard. You have the same number of election judges on election day, whether 90% of the folks are voting on election day or 10%. Got it. And that's fair enough. The only question I would have is if the idea is to cut down on the lines, and I got to tell you, and there are places where it's a 5 or 6 hour wait to vote. I mean, in some places where it's very quick, but
A 5 or 6 hour line in the state of Missouri, though,
oh yeah.
in one jurisdiction.
I'll tell you, Delta Village, where I was in 08, it was crazy. But I mean, even me in the Lutheran South, I mean, where I vote, that was probably a good hour to get through. But I guess my only other question, I mean, we talk about Sundays, and I don't know the difference between the initiative petition and your bill on Sundays, or whether there is any difference between the two, but all I would say is, I mean, I know, I could point to certain populations within our state that feel very strongly about Sundays. I could also point to a good number of people that I represent who feel very strongly about Fridays, and a number of others who feel strongly about Saturdays, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not sure how you get around it. I mean, I realize that among other things, you have, for every day that a center is open, you have personnel costs that you don't have, and you probably can't accommodate everybody Friday through Sunday. Otherwise, you're talking about Monday through Thursday early voting. Maybe that's what we want, maybe it's not. But I'll just make the point that other people feel pretty strongly about other days than we do. Thank you.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Anyone to testify for House Committee Substitute, House Bill 2271, and House Committee Substitute for HJR 90?
Chairman, Senators, I'm Tammy Brown, Republican Director, Jackson County Election Board, and I'm here to testify in favor of Representative Bill. We have researched this initiative petition, and it's quite frightening for the larger jurisdictions because of the amount of staff we have to have, the number of satellites we have to have. We had a tough time staffing our municipal election this past April due to our snowbirds. They run off to Arizona, Florida. They're happy to work most times, but we don't have an unlimited number of judges that we can staff 5 satellites for 6 weeks. And they will not work full-time. But the scheduling is a nightmare for those. They'll work 3 hours in a day, and then we have to have somebody else come in. Security is an issue with the satellites. We don't have enough employees to have a full-time employee out at those sites, but we would have to go out every morning and set up, go out and secure the equipment, ballots, bring it all back in. And we're talking about a large jurisdiction. We're all of eastern Jackson County. So we would have to hire part-time people just to help bring all that equipment back in every night, because no place, unless we rented a building and we put a security system in, could we leave our ballots and equipment there. We would have to bring them in and secure them every night. So the cost of doing this, especially for the larger jurisdictions, is unsustainable. We can't do it. And with the initiative petition, the cost falls totally to the county. The state again carries no election costs, and our counties cannot afford to take on any more election costs.
Okay, thank you. Question, Senator LaHope?
So, again, kind of what I was asking, the biggest, why you like this is because the state pays for it.
State pays for it, and the days are shorter.
The days are,
The number of days for early voting.
okay.
And the number of days we would have to have satellites set up.
Now, the petition initiative, if the state paid for that, that would be a different point of view then, right?
No,
Why
because
not?
there would still be finding enough people to work at those satellites.
But you would have the resources to do that.
If the state, yeah, if the state gave us those resources, but
That's right. That's
we
what
would
I'm
need
saying.
help finding judges too. It's getting harder and harder to find judges. Our older dedicated judges are falling ill, dying. They were dedicated, they'd be there all the
Well,
time.
the
We
thing
have a
that-
tough time finding
The
judges.
thing that we can help you find judges with is with the money to find them, right? I mean, that's really,
Money helps.
that's really the only thing we can help you do your job better,
Money
right?
helps.
Okay, so would you prefer, I guess I'm trying to understand, you're testifying in support of this over the petition initiative, because if this passes, you're gonna have 9 more days where you have to find a judge, and you have to set up those 6 different locations for 9 days. And you're still gonna have the same problem. The magnitude isn't just gonna be as big. Is that
The
right?
6 weeks, especially for us, if you go back in our history, we don't even have anybody coming in to absentee vote the 5th and 6th week out. So we would have people sitting out of those satellites twiddling their thumbs because nobody's out voting.
Not yet, because we don't do it in the state, right? So,
Most people aren't ready. to
I guess,
vote
would
at
you
that
prefer
time.
no early voting or this?
Personally, I would rather have no excuse in office absentee, only in office. That way we know it's secure, our employees are conducting it.
Yeah.
When you have a judge out there that you've given 3 or 4 hours training, mistakes are going to be made. I mean, they do that 2 or 3 times a year. They do not remember every step. You've got provisional voting, which always, that happens every other year. You have to retrain for that. They forget, and there will be mistakes because we can't have full-time people at all those satellites and still run our office.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator Simpson?
I just want to go back, I mean, it seems as though we're juxtaposing this against the initiative petition. I guess my concern here is if this goes forward, what's that going to look like in November? I mean, we're going to have the initiative petition on the ballot, right? And if they don't have the signatures, it won't be. If they do have the signatures, it will be. And I don't know if that's statutory constitutional number both. But regardless, I mean, so if we have on the ballot in November, hey, what do you think about 6 weeks of early voting, including things presumably these controls? And at the same time, we have the HJR saying, what do you think about 3-week early voting? What happens if voters pass both?
The one with the most votes wins.
Is that, seriously, that's the way it works?
The scary thing is this becomes part of the Constitution, and it would be very hard to change if it's a disaster.
Well, I mean, you could change it with another referendum or another initiative petition, same way as you're changing now, right? I mean, obviously it costs money, people have to pass on it, but I mean, we're there now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else have a question for the witness? Thank you very much. Please allow the witness forward. Anyone else to testify in favor?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'll introduce myself again, Darrell County Clerk in Cooper County, again for the Legislative Committee of the County Clerks and Association. I'll testify in favor. We'd be working with the Representative Duggar and Senator Krause, whatever things you can work out to get this package together. I understand there's always things in the working process. I would like to go to one issue, and that being small counties, which I am, being able to, it's kind of interjected that we'll handle this with our current staff. My staff works full-time now, and if I just run a couple of numbers, 11,000 voters, that's my small county, 8% turnout, 8,000. If 50% of those vote early, that's 4,000. And if on any one day, 500 of those show up in my office, there's no way my staff, we have jobs already, are going to handle paperwork and get an early voting system in my office. So I'm going to be setting up a location somewhere as well, because there is no other way for me to be able to consistently, otherwise, then I'm going to have 500 people back in the line, and then we'll be looking like, well, we know what we were doing, so we have a line then versus having no lines. And quite honestly, with the 80% turnout, which I have had in the presidential election, I set up enough judges and enough lines that we had people after the 8 o'clock hour who did not have to wait in line, where they would come and go as they were. Now, from 6 to 8 o'clock, the initial line, we had an hour. The rest of the day, we had enough judges. So anyway, can I take questions?
Question, yes, Mr. Lowe.
So you've outlined where it gets too busy, so you're against this bill?
No, I'm saying for this bill, what I'm outlining is that
But if this bill happened, then you'd have 9 more days of early voting. You'd have to set up another location, wouldn't you?
Right, I'm
And
answering that.
and if 50% of the people show up,
Yes.
then they would come to your location,
That's
and
right.
those people who already have jobs wouldn't be able to handle it. So you would have to be, that's what you said, right?
I'm going to staff those positions, correct?
Okay. But
I'm
you
saying
said that there'd be
that-
trouble staffing if there's early voting, so you'd be against this, because this is early voting, 9 for 9 days.
No, I did not. Okay. I agree that I can't do it with my current staff in my office.
Okay?
I'm not saying I can't hire people to staff those other locations. I'm saying in my office, that staff
Okay.
will not have time in a situation where we get a large turnout on one particular day.
Okay. So the fiscal note of the money going to the counties would allow you to staff,
I'm assuming it would allow me to put staff in a location other
to
than
handle
my
this
office.
issue, this
That's
issue.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the witness? Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else testify in favor?
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Rich Christopher. I'm the Director of Elections for St. Charles County. I have the honor of serving this body as state representative for 8 years, and I must testify in support of both this bill and the HJR. We're talking, many of you were discussing the cost, which is very, very prohibitive. I'm the second largest voter registration county in the state with 256,000 registered voters. When I came into office, we had 161 precincts, so we could not find the judges in many cases. We dropped it down to 121 precincts back in 2006. Cost is prohibitive. Minimum of 4 judges are needed for every station. You have to have 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, so we have a minimum of 4. So there is cost involved. Big concern that I had, you discussed the cost. That's fine. There is very, very prohibitive. Our county executive, Steve Ellman, former Senator Steve Ellman, does not like to hear legislation that creates unfunded mandates that come to our county, and I'm speaking on his behalf in that regard. But what I want to speak about is absentee voting. We have, in the presidential election, we normally have around 26,000 people come and register to vote absentee in my property, and we can get them in and out in about 35 minutes. So we can do about 1,000 a day, and it's not a real problem. But when you vote absentee, you sign an affidavit, and we have to keep track of those absentee voters. And the biggest reason we have to keep track of absentee voters, especially the last week, is if we can't get the information to our judges on election day as to who voted absentee, people can walk in, especially early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they can vote a second time. We do not want to infringe on people's right to vote, but we sure don't want people having the opportunity, the unintended consequences of the petition that's out there right now, of allowing people to break the law and vote more than one time. One thing I find that's very important that as an election authority, if you don't look for fraud, you're not going to find fraud. I look for it, I'm very diligent about it. I do not want people having the opportunity, because of unintended consequences, of voting absentee the Sunday before, or even the Monday before, in large numbers. We can handle 100, 200, but we sure can't handle 1,000.
Okay, Senator Simpson?
How many folks have you caught voting twice?
Pardon me, sir?
How many folks have you caught voting twice?
At least 2. Secretary of State refused to prosecute, but one of them we found was, I had the Homeland Security call me about 3.5, 4 years ago, and so we have a gentleman that we're going to deport. Has he ever voted, does he register to vote in your county? And I looked him up, yes, he had voted 5 times in my county. He's not an American citizen.
Did your local prosecutor press charges?
No, we did not.
Non-American citizen, why would they be on the rolls, or were they not on the rolls?
He was on the rolls. He had voted 5 times in St. Charles County as an illegal alien. But
So
he
the
signed a
register-
card saying he was a citizen of the state of the county, St. Charles County. The only way we caught him is because Homeland Security had tagged him, and they called me up and said, "Do you have him as a registered voter?"
And did you vote twice in the same election ever, or just
Not
5
him,
times in
no.
different elections? So you had an illegal alien who lied on their voter
In this
registration
country
card.
right now, I believe that that's happening at every single election in this entire country. Yes, I do believe that.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to clarify. This person was not somebody who's voting twice, which is what you said you were worried about with late absentee. This is just somebody who lied on their registration card.
Well, the voter registration card, that was sort of separate. I'm talking absentee and the voter who voted as a non-citizen, saying he was a citizen by signing the affidavit, which a voter registration card is. Those are 2 separate situations. I came up here to testify in favor of the House bill and a House joint resolution, because I do not want people to be voting absentee by the thousands or by the hundreds on the Sunday and Monday before, and we're not able to get the list back to us in time for 6 o'clock in the morning on election day to make sure these people aren't voting twice.
Well, but one way to approach that would be to allow for early voting in the week before the election, which this bill does not allow.
I don't mind early voting. I would prefer non-excuse early voting, but if we're not going to have that, I would prefer the HJR and the House bill that's before you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Since for the
I
vote.
think I'm trying to understand. So your concern of fraud is that they take an absentee ballot and then go vote on the election.
If they do it late enough in the early or close enough to the election, say the Sunday before, we do have people vote the Saturday before, for 2 Saturdays before the election. We open up our doors at 8:30 in the morning and 11 to vote till 12:30.
Okay?
We allow that right now under the absentee voting law. We can keep track of that, but if we have a statewide constitutional something voted by the voters, made it constitutional, we can have hundreds of people vote.
So
We
is that
don't mind people voting.
Is that Monday? That
But we want to
Monday,
number of the work that we have to do. We have a small staff. I have 14 people signing myself in my office with the second largest voter registration in the state of Missouri.
Well, so that Monday is important for you to gather those absentees and put them, to prepare for Tuesday. That's your point.
That Saturday afternoon and that Monday, yes.
And then your fear is if that Sunday and Monday open, you wouldn't have time to check and people would automatically go vote illegally on the next day.
It's possible with the voting numbers, if people are just openly allowed to come in on Sunday and Monday, which they are now currently able to do,
Right.
but most people do not vote that way, they vote absentee. The only time we have 26,000 people voting absentee is presidential election. Normally we have 200 to 1,200 people vote the absentee vote before an election, be it an April election or an August primary.
Why do you think more people don't vote more often?
I wish everybody would vote every single election that is a registered voter.
Why do you think they don't?
The truth is, the only people that know that election day is election day are the candidates, the media, the vendors who sell campaign literature. They're the only ones who really know on election day, except for the diligent voters. Most of our senior citizens are very diligent voters. Our younger people are not diligent voters. I won't mention the university, but I had a university come into my office and wanted to see our process. We showed it to them, and I asked, how many of you 22 young people going to college right now are registered voters? Only one was a registered voter. I said, okay, when I finish the tour, we're going to have people sitting out here waiting to fill out your form. It takes 5 minutes to fill out your voter registration form. Do you know how many registered that day? 0.
It's too bad.
It is. It's too bad. Like I said, when I go to the college and explain, I want you to register to vote. I really do. But if you don't wear that I voted sticker on election day, you're really wasting your time. We want you to register and we want you to vote.
Advertising. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the witness? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else to testify in favor?
I'm Patrick Steele, Osage County Clerk. We are a small county. I have about 9,000 registered voters. I have a staff of 2 others and myself. I am here in support of the joint resolution. It is very difficult for us to find enough poll workers to work elections. Normally, the political party committees are responsible for turning over to the county clerk names of potential poll workers. It falls, however, on us to contact people and to line up poll workers. If we go, as the initiative petition is talking about doing, 6 weeks, working Saturday and Sunday, I don't know how my staff is going to be able to make it. I don't know how my county will be able to afford it. I have to battle each year to get enough funding for the cost of running the elections. I urge you to support this measure.
Okay, any questions for the witness? Please fill out a witness form, thank you. Anyone else to testify in favor? Seeing none, anyone to testify against? House Committee Substitute for House Bill 2271 and House Committee Substitute for HJR 90.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Katie Jansen Larson. I'm with Missouri Faith Voices. We have about 180 congregations throughout the state. We're in Springfield, Columbia, Jefferson City, Kansas City, and I'm also representing Metropolitan Congregations United, which is about 40 congregations in St. Louis. So we would definitely ask you not to pass this legislation because it would override the work and the voice of our people and many of your constituents. I'm